Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I'm still working on Dan's reels. He sent me several of them. We had the pleasure to do that Pflueger Alpine. He sent me a Shakespeare Tidewater 30L, which I've already done a video on, so I didn't work on that. Also a Penn Senator 4.0 that he had purchased off of eBay. Well, here's another one. This one is in the Pflueger Capital series, I believe. This is the SeaKing, Pflueger SeaKing. Set up like a Pflueger Capital, smaller or more narrow diameter on the gear side frame, but the rest of it very thick. Side plate here, nice quality materials, circa 1950s, and we're going to show you how to take apart and service this reel, how it's made, and if you have one of these, you'll learn about it in terms of servicing it. If you don't have one of these and you're just kind of curious about how it was made and what the points of it are, well, stick around and you'll see what we can do with this reel. So we're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces. As we do, we're going to thank our first responders and essential personnel for all it is that they do in keeping us safe during the pandemic. That's all uniformed services, fire, police, rescue, EMT, first aid, and the like. It's also anybody in the medical fields, whether you're in a hospital or a doctor's office or a long-term care facility and the like. And of course, it's everybody in the food delivery services, the Amazons and the like, that are keeping us stocked and supported during this tough time. So thank you for all it is that you do. So I'm starting by taking the handle off. I took the nut off. And then it occurred to me, I have a single screw take-apart system on this one, much like a Penn Jigmaster and the like. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and take it off. I may need the handle for leverage, so let's leave it on. This one came off relatively easy. You'll notice on this one, there are two hash marks on the frame here, and there's a single hash mark on the black rubber or plastic piece here. To take it off, it's the bottom. When you tighten it, it moves up to the hash mark up top. It's a simple counterclockwise turn that should take this off, and it does. It's a beautiful interior on this one. I'll take that spool off. And this one doesn't look like it's been used much on the inside. There's no wear at all on that bait alarm or the click mechanism. And all we need to do here is just kind of give it a good glob of grease. Inspect your spool, make sure it's nice and clean, and this one is. There's not anything severe about that at all. Check to make sure these tabs aren't bent. I've seen these reels where that the metal tabs are bent and it can't pick it up on the reload. A little bit of grease onto the back shaft. We can take a moment here and just kind of clean off the main frame. I use a little bit of steel wool for that. And actually, I'm going to, I think, use the pad with the rod and reel cleaner, and that should just help kind of get some of the surface tarnish off of this. There's not much here. It doesn't appear to have been a saltwater reel. Saltwater reels, you generally see a lot more of the salt and the dried corrosion on it, the greening and the like. This one I don't see that on, so I'm going to think for a moment that it probably hasn't played around in the salt too much. So while I'm doing this, just a reminder, if you like these kinds of videos, please subscribe to my channel, and if you do subscribe, please hit the notification button. That notification button is going to show you the videos that I'm doing, and I do all kinds of videos, so even though saltwater may not be the type of reels that you're interested in, you will see the freshwater varieties as well. All kinds of reels, the spinning reels, the conventional reels, bait casting reels, and the like, they're all there for you. All right, we're going to take the handle off now. If you have trouble walking it up, just back it out with the star adjuster. That'll push it up along the way. Sometimes these older reels, they kind of get worn in place, or they get scarred and the like, and you can see it just kind of pushed it up. I'm going to use a light steel wool just to get the tarnish and corrosion off the back of that handle there. If you need a little grit, use a metal cleaner. I'm using an automotive polish there, but any kind of metal cleaner will generally do. And we'll just clean that up, and we're going to put that where I'm putting all of my pieces, and that's into a parch tray. I use the bottom of a plastic jug, and all the pieces and parts that I take off go in there so that I know where it is when I go to remove it. Finish the removal of the star adjuster. And I think one of the problems we have with this, well, we may not. This has got an extended internal cup, so I was thinking maybe the drag washers would be a problem here. They didn't appear to be when I tested it, and looks like we still have some meat on that. All right, we'll get that collar out of there as well. And now you want to check, there's a lot of screws going on here, not all of them necessarily play in. So turn it over and see what you have. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bridge screws, those are the important ones. And once you remove those 4 bridge screws, you'll see how the rest of this reel comes together. Wow, that's a very thin slot. I'm going to have to go to a micro driver to work with that slot. So it's good to keep a variety of tools on hand. That way you don't need to go very far in terms of finding the right tool when you've got the reel apart. The more time away from a reel, the more difficult it may become to remember your place, remember your orientation of parts, and the like. So one of the things I recommend is take pictures along the way. If you're taking pictures at critical junctures like this, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen when we pull that other side plate off. So if you take those pictures, you always have a reference point to come back to. Now, I'm taking pictures with a video camera. You don't need to do that. But just as you know, that, okay, now I'm going to take them apart, you know what to expect. Those 4 screws came here. I believe this whole side plate may just detach at this point, and it does. So you have the 2 pieces here. You have the jack assembly, which is going to work the free spool, and then you have the internal gear set and the pinion gear. So you want to pull your bridge. We're going to pull the bridge, and we're going to take off the main gear. We're also going to take off, if this screw can move, and take off the bridge shaft as well. Sometimes these are old stubborn reels. If you're having trouble with it, you may get by with just putting a drop of oil in there rather than risk shearing that screw off. But if you can get it off, it's best to take that off, clean that bridge shaft, put a little bit of fresh grease in there, and then put it back together again. Alright, so that came out. I'm going to lay that right on the table here. Now, I got a lot on the table. One of the things I have is those 4 bridge screws. They're all the same. That's why I put them on the table. So now I'm just going to move that over to the side. And notice the orientation on the anti-reverse dog in case it gets off when we pull that. And here's why you want to remove that gear sleeve there. We got a lot of old grease on there, and you want to do a cleaning on that. You want to get that stuff off of there. And you want to use the least abrasive of the options that you have on hand to get rid of that grease. In this case, it's just a paper towel. And then I'm just going to use my micro driver while I have it out just to scrape underneath and around that dog. And don't necessarily want to pull that dog if I can clean it out this way, and I can. So you want to take a picture here and notice how that anti-reverse spring is and how it's loaded just in case it happens to go pop on you. That way you'll be able to know how to reinstall it. Alright, we got that. Just want to run this little piece through the bottom here, get the dirt off of that. This calls for just a little bit of fishing reel grease. I use Penn Precision reel grease. It's something that I've just kind of come accustomed to. It works. And if you don't have Penn grease, you don't have to worry, but do use a fishing reel grease when you go to do your lubrication and assemblies. Okay, we're going to put the gear sleeve back on, and remember, we got to go reset this dog here. So I'll use that little driver. Pull that dog out and get it reset. Now I can put that screw, which I've had on the table, inside, and that's the servicing of the sleeve. So if you have questions on any fishing reel, this one or any one in particular, it doesn't have to be on the Pflueger series here. If you leave it in the comment section, I do try to answer the questions that come in under the comment section. It can be on a fishing reel, it can be on a particular repair procedure. All kinds of questions are entertained, and if I can help you, I will do that. If I can't, sometimes it's just that I can point you in the right direction. All right, we have leather washers on these. They remain flexible after all these years. That's wonderful. Leather washers I grease. I use a Cal's dry grease. Don't worry if you don't have dry grease. Go ahead and use the regular fishing reel grease, like the pen grease. That'll be fine. And you want to use it on leather because the leather is porous and it tends to dry, and the greases will keep that flexible and lubricated so that it doesn't dry out and crack on you. So I'm checking the teeth on the main gear here, giving it a good dose of grease. We're going to put that back onto the shaft. We're going to put that first washer back in. And then you'll notice I did invert the stack here. So I know that the next thing up is the second or round or keyed washer. That goes in next. We have another of the leather washers, so we'll get the grease on. I'll use my gloved hand to lubricate that. I'm going to put that back in. Next up then is the eared washer that sits in the channels in the main gear. And those of you that watch the channel know that this is kind of standard operating procedure. It doesn't matter which manufacturer's reel you're working on. It seems that an awful lot of them have adopted this this setting or setup kind of a thing. Last one then, we got one more sitting here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to just make sure it gets a nice dot of lubrication there. And now there's a little stickiness going on the back of this last washer. So I'm just going to use the steel wool to get rid of that older stuff on both sides of it. All right, that goes on. And then I got to find out what this little ratchet is here that was on top. I don't know the name of it, but I do know that it sits on here like that. And this is a good point to tell you. If you didn't know what in the world you were doing and you just haphazardly took this thing off, well, you could be in trouble, because that can go both ways. It can go this way or that way. So that was a good place to take a picture. Now, fortunately with this one, they do have a little thing here that says up. So harder to confuse that one, but not all of them do. And I get a lot of reels in from time to time with folks that have tried to put a reel back together again, and they put the part in upside down or backwards or something, and that caused the problem. All right, here we go. We're going to just kind of take care of this. This is clean. If it wasn't clean, you would certainly go ahead and do that. You can put a little bit of oil behind the slide just to make sure that it stays lubricated. This is going to be an in and an out lever here, and when you push down, you'll see that it brings it in. That pulls it in and away from the spool, and then this will push it back up and cause that to close. Okay, I think, if I remember these, it's been a while. Next up, we can put the pinion gear in. There's a slot on the back of the pinion gear that's going to ride in that fork. I'm going to get a good amount of grease on that. And it's going to ride just in there like this. So that's your pinion gear. And then I believe this side of it has to come in from the back end of this. Remember the bridge and the way we did that. So the bridge will come in this way, like that. and then we can turn this whole piece over to install the rest of this. Now up top here, you're going to notice that there's two pieces. There's the lever, then there's this little collar, and that little collar has got two forks on the bottom of it, and these two forks here, that's what's going to slide on the case here to make sure that it's in play. Let's see, we may be able to do it this way first. Set this case in place. As I said, it's been a while, and these are certainly older reels. So if I mess up, I'll just go back and check my pictures. But I've done these several times now, well, more than several times, but I know enough to know the basics here. There we go. All right, so we have that on. We have our pinion gear on. Now we should be able to get the bridge assembly in. There you go. So that's how you build that bridge assembly back up. So let's just talk for a moment what we did. We had to take the bridge out first. Then we could remove that hard plastic pack. That gave us access to service the main gears, the pinion gear, the bridge shaft, and all of the internal working pieces and parts. And now we're kind of building it out backwards now. So we've got the 4 bridge screws, and we know those don't matter which direction they go in, but they do need to go in. And we're going to do this in a northeast, southwest kind of a rotational thing here so that we get all of the screws applying equal pressure to that bridge shaft. And one more. So the 50s brought this single screw take-apart system kind of to light. You had the Penn Jigmaster was doing it, the Penn Surfmaster was doing it, multiple reels from Ocean City were doing it, and others. And it enabled you to either clear a tangle or to replace a spool. If you had multiple spools with different levels of, well, at the time it would have been linen line, but different strengths, you could just simply pull the spool out and replace, and that would work well. All right, well, we're trying to get this back on. You want to be very careful as you do this. Okay, then use your handle as the wrench, if you will, to hold the shaft steady while you continue to work it down. This one's tight. It's tight coming out and it's tight going back in. All right, that'll take care of that. Handle's already on. There's no shim washer underneath it, so we can put that cap nut back on. So if you have one of these reels, if you have a reel that requires service and you're not up for doing that service yourself, well, I do provide the service by mail. And if you contact me on the business card that follows, I'll be happy to provide you with repair information. All right, well, just a little bit. So this is a case where they've used an American or SAE standard wrench, and I'm right between sizes here, of course. The 13 millimeter holds, so if I recall, of course, Pfluegers were made in the U.S. in this period, and they didn't necessarily follow the metric, which is what almost all reels are today. They're metric reels, or screw sets. All right, line that point up with the hole, and it'll generally get you the tie down in the right location, which this one does. And we'll grab that set screw, we'll put it back on, we'll see how we did. This is another one that has that very small hole opening there. And those of you that know me know that me and small screws, well, we have trouble from time to time. Thanks to all of you who've provided me with helpful hints and tips. I guess when you just struggle with things, you just struggle with things. All right, lots of lube for the inside of that gear. Load it up. Remember what I said about the hash mark. So all the way down here, you're going to find a hash mark that lines up right there. And then just a quick turn upwards will lock it in place. You heard it lock. You can tighten down your screw. And we can give it a test. And look at that. Now we want to make sure that those drags hold. And they do. Very good. So that's it. That's your Pflueger SeaKing. I think it was a SeaKing. Yep, Pflueger SeaKing, number 2188. My guess is 1950s, maybe early 1960s. And that's how you take it apart. You make it work, lubricate it, put it in free spool, make sure that it's free spooling. Back that off for an adjuster. And this one has that auto kick out on it. There you go. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please like it. If you want to see more, again, please subscribe. If you're a first responder, thank you, as always, for what it is that you do. Essential personnel, the same. And hopefully, please, everybody, stay safe, stay well, stay watching, and have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.